go. Everything's running a lot better today. Okay. So I'm going to do screen share. And there we go. Get to Blender. And this is where I was kind of leaving off on yesterday. Actually, give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to turn the projector on. So I'll be back in 1 second. I'll turn the projector on for you guys. All right, projector's on. Okay, so where we did leave off yesterday, and we kind of got to get to that part, right? Remember, if you go to Edit, Preferences, right, it's going to bring up this, right, your Blender preferences. And we know we can go to key mapping to turn on things like industry compatible, but there's also that add-ons section, right? And this add-ons section is important because, one, not only does Blender come with some cool add-ons that you can turn on, period, that are great. They've got these great dynamic sky systems, which we probably won't use on this project, but we'll use on our car and our character. So you can do like actual daylight environments. It's kind of neat. But we can leave that off for now. But there's lots of these that actually come with Blender, right? Things like meta mesh tools, or mesh tools, loop tools. But there are some good ones here, like if we scroll up here a little bit, we should be able to find it. Let's see here. Might be lower down, but sometimes you have to kind of search for it. Let's see here. Well, I guess it is lower down. But there is the UV layout add-on that I like to make sure you guys have on. Oh, it's right there. It's the import-export UV layout. I like to have that on, right? So check UV layout on, right? If you go further down, you'll see there's one towards the bottom called UV Magic. So I want you guys to make sure that both of those are checked on, right? So UV Magic should definitely be checked on. You just check them, right? There's a little checkbox, UV Magic, and then kind of up here in the import-export UV layout. Those are good for UV unwrapping. They give us some extra tools. UV layout, I believe, is on by default. UV Magic, you do have to turn on. But you definitely want both of those on because they'll give you some extra cool functionality. Having said that, you saw that I showed you the other day text tools, and I'll show you in a minute here on the internet kind of where to download it again, but basically just do a Google search for text tools for Blender, and it'll provide you a place for download. So how do you install an add-on, right? Because these add-ons are already here, they're installed, so you just have to check them to turn them on. But you'll notice at the top of the add-ons menu is something called an install button, right? So if you click on install, what it'll do is it'll take you to where you can go to where you downloaded it, right? In this case, I just put it in the download section. You'll see there's the text tools Blender. Right there, see it? So even if it's just in your download section, you'll see it's right there, Text Tools Blender. And what you do is you just double click on it. And that is now installed. And we just have to make sure to kind of find it in here to turn it on here in a minute. Give it a second to respond. I've always noticed the add-ons menu and preferences sometimes get a little bit cranky. But that would be how you would turn it on, right? You can install it, let it install. Let's hope this doesn't take forever again. There's even a cool add-on called Sapling Tree Gen, which actually gives you the ability to make procedural trees. It's kind of cool. Come on, don't take forever, add-on. Don't do this again to me. Come on. You can do it. But that's how you would install an add-on. And Text Tools is pretty useful, right? So just kind of want to make sure you guys know that that's there. You have it available. Come on, don't take forever again. Tell you, sometimes the preferences in here take forever. There is also a progress check, so there is a new assignment today, the progress check. I am looking for, basically I'm looking for the room to be completed. But remember, that's more aspirational, right? So if you have to turn it a day or two late or you're not quite there, that is okay. Now you'll see that once I've installed, you'll see kind of text tools comes up here, and you can actually just turn it on. But it'll be in the UV section, right? So it is installed now, and you'll see text tools is available. I just got to make sure to check it on here in a minute. Sometimes I found, particularly when I'm streaming here, it takes a little while because it's having to search for all these things. But that is how easy it is to actually install an add-on in Blender, right? You just download it. You find it wherever it is. If it's free, you just download it from wherever it's free. They'll generally be zip files. So if you see it as a zip file, that's what you want to grab. And then you just have to go to the add-on section of Blender Preferences and click on the Install button, find it wherever you saved it, and then install it. Just double-click on it, and it'll install it, and then you just check it on. What Text Tools does is it gives us some cool baking features. Like it makes baking normal maps and lots of other map types even easier. It makes putting a distortion grid on super easy, and it's got a tool called Rectify, which is neat for straightening up kind of like pipe and hose UVs and stuff like that. So want to try to kind of get to see some of those today, if not tomorrow. If Text Tools can turn on here. But sometimes it takes a little while for the Blender preferences. It's just... and it's partially, I think, the fact that, like I said, once again, I'm doing screen share, recording, and running Blender, right? And so sometimes that stuff that's a lot of processing power this has to do. But that's how you would install Text Tools, and that's where it would actually be. And it would show up in the normal area too. But once it's installed, you just make sure to check it on, and that's it. That's how you install add-ons. But basically, just go to like your internet browser, just type in Text Tools for Blender, and you'll be able to download a zip file from like GitHub, and it's free, guys. It's a free add-on. Very useful. So I would definitely like you guys to get that. When we start to do more retopologizing on later projects, I'll show you guys how to get speed retopo, which will make our retopologizing even easier than the already reasonably good tools that we have. And even, like I said, BPainter is a great add-on. That one is not free, though. It's a $40 add-on, but it's a great add-on to really make the painting tools in Blender as strong as they can be, quite good. But I'm just going to have you guys get free add-ons. Unfortunately, this is just taking forever. Oh, come on. This might be one of those things. Maybe I'll have to do some short videos for you guys tomorrow for our class from home on my Surface Pro. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, come on. I really do want to get to some proper lecture here today. Really shouldn't take that long. All right, am I gonna have to close Blender up here? Is that what we're gonna have to do? Yep. All right. I'm about to relaunch Blender here. Ugh. I've noticed this on this computer, particularly when I'm doing all these other things, that the Blender preferences is kind of cranky. Okay, I don't need you to report the problem, Microsoft. But that's kind of what I want. Part of one of the things I want to do with lecture was talk about the add-ons that I want you to have on for this, and the free add-on text tools. So part of this video is that stuff, right? It's kind of getting in there and just making sure you guys know where to get those things, right? I'm just going to go to the internet here. If my computer's not going to crap out on me again. At least this time I'm not going to have to reinstall stuff, but this is going to be annoying if it gets slow again. Ugh. Come on. There we go. Remember, you can just go type in Text Tools Blender, right? That's all I did. Is Text Tools Blender, and it's TEX Tools Blender. And this search will, of course, bring up, when it eventually catches up here. Everything, once again, is going slow today. This is just so wonderful. But just to kind of do a text tool search for Text Tools Blender. And this will give you some cool, like I said, available options. Okay, yeah, so it feels like everything is going slow today. There we go. And right here, actually right at the top, right? It's on GitHub. It's Text Tools as a UV and texturing tool set. It was created for 3D Studio Max, but then they actually made it work for Blender. You just click on it, and it's free. You just have to go to GitHub and just download the zip, right? There's a zip file. Download that, and that's what you actually install. So you see it's kind of right here, right, the zip, and you just download that, and that's how you get Text Tools. Oh, come on, Blender. Don't be... come on. lovely task manager. Come on. Because I do actually want to show you guys some of these UV unwrapping tools today that I want to show you for new ones. Obviously, we'll probably end up doing a little bit more tomorrow as well, just because I really want to get you guys to being in pretty good shape for those. Come on. Task was ended. Fortunately, we still have plenty of time today to go through, get this video finished up. Unfortunately, I have a computer that's sometimes on the cranky side. Come on, guys. Come on, Blender. Really? Is this what we're going to do? There we go. Catch up. But the biggest thing I really wanted to show you guys today was the boxmap tool. Right? There's a feature called boxmap that I really want to make sure that you guys get to see, because this is going to how you're doing most of your even wrapping, right? So I think we're probably going to focus on that, do it on a couple of models, and then I can kind of show you a little bit more about the unfolds tool again and the text tools when it comes to tomorrow. Probably a little bit today if I can actually get Blender to close. Jiminy Christmas. Really? Oh, so lovely. All right. Well, I'm going to turn screen share off for a minute, guys, even though we're doing recordings here, because maybe that'll free up a little bit of space. So I'm going to turn... there we go. All right. So just getting out of there actually helped that to figure itself out. There we go. Run Blender. All right. No, I didn't want to rename Blender. Really? Okay. Here we go. All right. So I'm relaunching Blender so I can actually, properly show this again. I'm going to bring up the table. There we go. And in this case, I think we've already added it. There it is. So you see the add-on's been installed. So what I can do is I can just enable it. So I enable text tools. And this time it should turn on a bit quicker, hopefully. Because I did want to show you guys a little bit about how text tools works today, as well as start to get you guys to see the automatic mapping, or the box mapping, right? Because these are both going to be fairly useful. Like I said, we'll do a little more tomorrow as well, just because everything's being slow again today. Oh, come on. Turn on the text tools. Really? Oh, so lovely. Come on. There we go. Okay, it's thinking about it. Come on. So yeah, so that's one of the goals I do have for today for us, is to do some UV unwrapping in this video. The nice thing is that the box mapping tool is really straightforward and really easy to use. It's the kind of thing that takes only about a couple seconds to use it. And we use it on a bunch of stuff, so it's actually quite easy. In fact, several of our objects, that's what we're going to fundamentally focus on using. So we'll eventually properly get there. Come on, text tools, turn on. Come on. Blender, stop doing this to me with everything else running. So I really wanted to show you text tools. That might be one of those things I'll just have to skip for today and show you the automatic mapping. And then you guys now have a video showing you where to turn that stuff on and install it. And then I'll come back to a new video where it's just already installed and we don't have to go through this stuff, right? But yeah, sometimes Blender is a bit cranky when it comes to these things, at least when multiple things are going on. Like I said, remember, I'm actually, I'm not even doing screen share right now. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm going to turn that off for a minute again, just to see if that'll free up some processing power. Come on. starting to really be a joke here. Come on. Really? All right, well, I'm going to restart Blender again here so I can show you some stuff, and we'll just have to come back to that text tool stuff again tomorrow just because it's really just fighting me on those add-ons. Because you notice that's kind of when the Blender gets hung up when I'm doing all these other things. So it's unfortunately a bit annoying. Ugh, come on. Computer. That, like I said, my computer here at school is a bit finicky. It gets prone to getting slowed down sometimes. Like I said, I had problems with it at the end of last year, so. The nice thing is I still have time to show you guys some of the stuff I wanted to today, and then we'll show some more stuff tomorrow. And I'll do a little bit of recap to it later today without video recording. Just gotta wait for all this stuff to shut down. Jiminy Christmas. Oh my God. Ugh. There we go. All right. So there's going to be a lot of dead video in this one, but I'm making a video. It's got some important information for it, so there's definitely going to be a bit of dead time in this video, but can't be helped sometimes. All right. Come on, Blender. You can do it. So like I said, I'll kind of take a brief tour with you guys on text tools when we do our 10 o'clock today. And then I'll officially kind of try to make sure it's on in the video and show it in the video tomorrow because I do want to do some more videos. But I wanted to actually do some legit stuff with you guys today for things. And I think, let me see here quickly. Let's see if it did get turned on. Nope. I'm not even going to try it. All right. So I'm going to get our screen share back on. There we go. Desktop. All right. So let me minimize this, of course, a little bit for my guys in here at the moment. There we go. That should work pretty well for us. So here it is. And of course, you can go to the UV editing workspace, right? And all your normal stuff works, right? Alt navigation works here and here, of course. But in this case, what I do want to do is I want to make sure to go, 4 for object mode. I'm going to go to the blue wrench because I do have some mirrors modifiers on this. So remember, you just want to go to kind of a apply. So that's fully applied. And that one's good. Now, these, of course, can be joined into one object if we want them to be to make them easier to texture. But we could also leave them as 2 separate ones. I think in this case, I'll combine them just to make it a little easier. Remember, you select one object, then shift left click on another object. And if you right click, there is join. And that will make them into one object, right? I can go up here and I can double click on that guy right there in the outliner, just to call it table. There we go. And if we go down to the green triangle, right? So there's kind of this little green triangle down here. There is a section called UV Maps, and we can open that up. And I could just double click on this to rename it. So we can call it table. That way it's properly labeled. There we go. So there's some good stuff there. And in this case now, I want to go to, say, 3 for face mode. And you'll notice when I go to 3 for face mode, all of a sudden you'll see that there is kind of, remember, right here there's the item, tool, kind of view, edit tools here, right? But once you have UV Magic and UV Layout add-ons turned on, you'll see that when we go to the edit, right? See, there's these kind of 3 little tabs here, right? One of them's called edit. When you click on that edit, you'll see that there's actually our loop and mesh tools, but there's also copy and paste UVs, which can allow you to copy and paste UVs from one object to another. Kind of neat. We don't need it on this project. We'll see it in later projects. UV manipulation has some cool things right here as well. But the big thing I want to show you guys was the UV mapping section at the bottom here. And you'll see that there is this area called UVW, right? UVW. So if I check that on, you'll see that there's not only a best planar function, But if I was to say hit Control A to select all the polygons, you'll notice that those UVs are not terribly good, right? And of course, if I want, I could put a distortion grid on this, right? We could always go to our kind of reddish kind of ball at the bottom here. Give it a second. Come on, don't hang up on me, Blender. Really, Blender? And guys, this actually really isn't Blender per se. I am doing multiple process-intensive stuff. Not only am I streaming a meeting to you guys and screen sharing it, but I'm also recording it and running Blender, and it's on a computer that's I already know to be a bit finicky. So there's our material comes up here. Come on. Ugh, why are you doing this, Blender? Come on. I think I'm just going to box unwrap this and then relay it out really quick, and then I'll show you the distortion grid on it. One of the things the text tool plugin, when we get it up and running, the add-on, is it actually adds a really easy way to add the distortion grid. It also comes with a couple of cool UV unwrapping tools and some great baking tools. So it's kind of a neat little add-on that I have on my Blender at home that I love. It adds a couple of good things. It's just a question of Blender not taking a crap on me today, which it seems like it is. There we go. So remember, we click on this red sphere at the bottom. This brings up our principled BSDF material, right? And I just want to add a texture into the base color. So I click on the yellow for the base color right here. And I can go to, let's see, where is it? I can go to image texture, right? And once I do that, you see that we've got the option right below this for new and open. And so I can click on new, and 1024 will be fine for this. It's just a test on it, right? But I do want it to be generated type UV grid, right? So you go to the generated type here instead of blank, and you set it to UV grid. And then we hit OK. And give it a second. And remember, that puts that checkerboard grid on there. Now, like I said, the actual setup for doing this is a smidge easier. This is not terribly hard to begin with, but Text Tools does have kind of a tool for that that's cuts a couple steps out, right? So probably good for you guys to, once again, be reminded of how, right, to do this the vanilla way, as they would say, you know, without a lot of add-ons. I'll make sure to go to textured viewport shading here just to see it properly. So now we're just waiting for Blender to not explode. So remember, this gives you your distortion grid, right? You're just going to go to the base color, click on it, pick. It brings up a bunch of options for you to attach, and you grab image texture, and then you can go into image texture, and you can actually, tell it to be a UV grid texture that it generates. And that's really largely basically what the text tool feature is going to do. It basically does it in 1 or 2 steps instead of like 4. Oh, come on, Blender, really. I just wanted to go to viewport shading. I promise I'm eventually going to get to it. The nice thing, though, is this UV mapping thing, once you get those 2 add-ons turned on and you open this up, all you have to do to box unwrap this is select the polygons you want to box unwrap and hit box unwrap. And what box unwrap does, as I'm waiting for Blender to catch up, is it basically does planars for kind of the top, bottom, left, right, front, back. So it's basically going to try to unwrap this like a box. So this ends up being a great, really fast, easy way without having to add seams, without having to unfold, right? To actually properly unwrap something simple, something boxier like this. So remember, I also wanted to kind of turn on viewport shading so I could kind of see the actual textures on there. And you can see right now that the overall texturing is not really ideal on this, right? Because the default UVs that Blender creates, really all packages create, are not good, right? So remember, we just make sure to click on this edit button here, UV mapping, check on the UVW, and then if I hit box, you'll notice what it does is it actually unwraps this into a bunch of planars from different views and different angles. And you notice how the distortion grid is nice on there? See how we're getting pretty low distortion? So believe it or not, Blender does have its own box unwrap. You just have to make sure that a couple of these add-ons are on. Now, these aren't properly fit in the distortion grid, so I'll just go in here and select them all. And remember, we can go to the UV menu here. And what we could always do is we could always then go to pack UV, right? So remember, you have kind of pack islands, pack UV if you want to. I'll run a quick pack islands. Remember, that relays them out so they're not on top of each other and so that they're in the main quadrant. And now you can see that that's the automatic wrap, right? You see it's kind of got the sides of our legs in pretty good shape. You can see it's got the tops in pretty good shape. All pretty low distortion, right? In this case, if I'd maybe done a 2048 instead of a 1024, you'd see that there'd be more checkerboards. But this is one of the big things I wanted to get you guys to see here. And I'll do it a couple more times on some stuff tomorrow, as well as show you a little bit of text tools. So that would be have a good couple of UV unwrapping videos for this project for us. And I'll kind of, do some overview of this again later today. If we need to, we could do a smidge more when we come in after Thanksgiving break before we get to texturing. But I wanted to make sure you guys saw add-ons, right? I really want to make sure you guys got to see where add-ons are at, how to turn them on, how you can install them. That text tools is a cool one to have. It's a free one. But also, once you have those on, you can go here and get box mapping and even a best planar projection fit, right? And a best planar is basically just, it's going to take whatever polygons you've selected, it's going to try to project it like a rectangle, a flat rectangle. And that's really what box mapping is doing, is it's just doing 6 of those, right? From top, bottom, left, right, front, back. And whatever polygons are within a certain angle constraint, it does those. All right, so I think at that point, we're in good shape. I'm going to turn off recording.